And here today we have representatives from 4 awesome programs to answer all of your questions about where to get your PhD. So before we jump in, I just have a few housekeeping items to share. Please follow our LinkedIn page for upcoming workshops, research opportunities, and job opportunities for HBCU STEM students. Also, please view the YouTube page. The YouTube page has recordings of our past workshops. This session will be recorded, but the recording will be stopped after the presentation. So please feel free to ask your questions during the Q&A. Also, feel free to turn your cameras on and unmute. This is an opportunity to connect with representatives from these programs. So feel free to post your questions during the chat during the presentations as well. And with that, I will jump straight into our first speaker, who is Dr. Andrea Young, the Assistant Dean of Graduate Biomedical Education and Graduate Student Diversity here at Johns Hopkins.
Thanks so much, Jasmin. I am honored to be here and to be on this panel. So I'm Andrea Young. I'm on faculty in the School of Medicine, and I'm also the Assistant Dean for Graduate Biomedical Education and Student Diversity, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about my role here in the School of Medicine graduate school and things that we do to help support our students. So in this role, I work together with our faculty, staff, and students to promote a culture that values inclusive excellence and the well-being of graduate students. Next slide. Oops, sorry, can you go back one? Thank you. So my role sits in the Office of Graduate Biomedical Education, which is led by Dr. Peter Espenshade, and we work together with a wonderful team of staff to promote innovation in graduate biomedical education, manage key central functions for the graduate school, and develop and implement initiatives to promote diversity in graduate medical education and ensure a positive learning environment for graduate students. And I work with the team on all 4 of these goals, but particularly on those last 2. Okay, next slide. I also work very closely with the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Health Equity, or ODIHE, which is led by Dr. Sharita Golden. And ODIHE does a lot of really wonderful things for both the Baltimore community and the Hopkins community, but there's one thing in particular that I wanted to highlight today, which is that they sponsor a number of diversity councils for different affiliate groups in the School of Medicine, including a faculty diversity council, a staff diversity council, and a student diversity council. And the Student Diversity Council is an opportunity for students who are interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion to come together and work on projects, to share ideas, and to do this with the connection with School of Medicine DEI leadership, including myself and folks from the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Health Equity. So students can work together on a common project along with both administrative and financial support from ODIHE to complete the project. Sorry, you can hit the next slide and the QR code will appear. So if you would like to learn more about ODIHE and the many opportunities they have to celebrate diversity and the ways that they support our community, feel free to follow the link at the QR code. The next slide. So one of our missions in the School of Medicine is excellence in science and mentorship, which includes leading the world in training biomedical scientists to be an exemplary model for biomedical research and to attract, engage, and retain and develop the world's best people. And we do this with the recognition that diversity, including diverse histories, identities, and life experience, is one of our greatest strengths. Next. Thanks. We have a number of PhD programs here in the School of Medicine. There are 15 actually, and you can find more information about them at that first QR code. And many of our PhD programs have info sessions. I know we have someone from one of our programs here that you'll hear a little bit more about later. But you can find more information about our programs following that QR code. And in the School of Medicine, we do both within the programs and School of Medicine Graduate Affairs Office and myself and the team that I work with really have some focused efforts on supporting students who identify as members of groups historically underrepresented in science. And so I wanted to highlight one program in particular that you wouldn't otherwise hear about today, which is the BME, the Biomedical Engineering Program's Application Assistance Program. And this is a program that is run by graduate students and provides an opportunity for prospective students who are interested in having a graduate student review their application to get feedback from them before the application deadline. And I believe the deadline for submitting to this program is about a month before the program deadline. So that there's the QR code for more information about that. I think it's a really excellent sort of example of programs that we have to support our students from underrepresented groups as they're applying. I also want to mention that both folks from various programs in the School of Medicine, as well as folks in my office, myself included, attend both Abercans and SACNAS. And so that's another opportunity. If you're planning on going to Abercans and SACNAS, please stop by the School of Medicine booth, and we'll have the opportunity to meet in person and share a little bit more about the programs that we have available. The other great thing about attending those conferences is that if you do or participate in a number of other diversity-focused initiatives, you'll be eligible for a fee waiver that will cover your application to up to 4 programs in the School of Medicine. So we also have fellowship programs that are focused on promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion here in the School of Medicine. And the one that I want to highlight today is the Vivian Thomas Scholars Initiative, or VTSI, which is a fellowship that is specifically designed to support students who have attended an HBCU or an MSI, and is named after a prominent Hopkins scientist, Dr. Vivian Thomas. And this past year was actually our first year, our inaugural year of the VTSI scholarship program, and it's been going really well. Students who are participating in the program have really enjoyed it. And the program provides support for stipend support, as well as additional mentorship. All of our students in the School of Medicine have excellent opportunities for mentorship, but this is another source of great mentorship and programming to promote the success of VTSI fellows. The other great thing about VTSI, similar to attending SACNAS and Abercans, is if you apply for VTSI, you're also eligible for a fee waiver. Next, thanks. So we also have, if you're interested in pathway programs, we have several that are all designed to help support students who are interested in pursuing careers in biomedical science. So we have a number of undergraduate summer internship programs that you could participate in the summer. And we have 2 post-baccalaureate programs that students tend to participate in for a year or 2, so up to 2 years. And so both of the post-bac programs are focused on scholars who come from groups historically underrepresented in science, and many of the summer internship programs have that focus as well. But these are really great opportunities to get more experience in the lab, to learn if that's something that you're interested in, and to help support your application to graduate school. So I also want to briefly highlight some of the supports that we have for students once they matriculated. I've talked a lot about things that happened before PhD matriculation, but one program that I want to highlight is the Alumni Mentoring Network Program, which is a program that pairs students who are underrepresented in science with alums who are underrepresented in science for mentoring. So for one-on-one mentoring and coaching around leadership, skill development, coaching around sort of career pathways, and sort of whatever it is that the goal the mentee has, the mentor will help them work towards achieving it. And we just piloted this program last year and got some really great feedback. And I also wanted to mention that we have a really, really great student body that is not only diverse, but they are excellent scientists, they're excellent community builders, and are really great at supporting each other. And our affinity groups are really great at supporting the DEI initiatives that we have on campus. And I want to highlight a few, one being the Biomedical Scholars Association, or BSA, which is the largest affinity group that we have that supports School of Medicine students from underrepresented groups. And this picture here is of BSA members and our first year, several of the first year UIS students who participated in a series of workshops on the hidden curriculum, which are all these sort of non-cognitive skills that are necessary and important to be successful in graduate school, like how to find a mentor, how to know that it's a good fit, how to manage conflicts and things like that, that BSA put on, and then had a networking and some celebratory brunch at the end. So that picture is from that brunch, but BSA does lots of really great things to support our students from underrepresented groups. They do lots of great community service and social events. Just to highlight a couple of others there, we have several affinity groups, but want to just highlight a couple. So Equal Access in Science and Medicine supports students who have a disability on campus and do a lot of great advocacy and community building work. And we have a fairly new affinity group on campus called Student Mothers of Hopkins to support students who identify as mothers. And the last thing that I want to mention is that for students who matriculate in the School of Medicine, we really want to, yes, we want you to come out of graduate school being an excellent scientist and feel like you have the skills that you need, but with the recognition that there are many other components of yourself that are important to nurture. And we have many resources available for you to do that. But very last thing, just wanted to make sure you all have my email address. There are many other things that I could have spent time talking about today, and I'd be happy to talk more about things that we do here in the School of Medicine if you reach out to me. And of course, I'll be available for the Q&A portion of the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Young. So moving forward, we will highlight another program here at the School of Medicine, and that is the Pathobiology program. Today, you'll be hearing from Dr. Karen Sfanos, the admissions chair of the Pathobiology PhD program.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell you all today about the Pathobiology PhD program. And as Dr. Young mentioned, that's a great lead into this conversation. There are 15 different PhD programs in the School of Medicine at Johns Hopkins. And so I'm just going to be telling you about one of them. But I will say that all of them are great programs, all just slightly different in terms of their focus. And the one that I will tell you about today is called Pathobiology. And it is unique for several, that's okay. There we go, start here, thank you. There are several unique aspects of this particular program, one of which and I also wanted to mention that I am the admissions chair of the program, and I'm not going to talk about admissions in telling you about this program, but if anybody has questions about the admissions process, I'm more than happy to answer questions about that at the end. So the Pathobiology graduate program, one of its unique aspects is that it is housed in a clinical department at Johns Hopkins. So it's housed in the Department of Pathology. And that's very unique. So it's a clinical department, and it allows for the graduate students, the PhD students that are in the program, to have a very major, what we call a translational aspect to the program. But what that really means is that you get a lot of exposure to clinicians, to pathologists, to the clinical side of medicine and the research that you are working on in the lab. I also wanted to mention that we're a smaller program. You know, as graduate programs go, we usually accept between 6 and 7 students into the program every year. So we're on the smaller side, but it's a tight knit program. And hopefully, as you can see in the pictures here, we do a lot of good balance between very good research and then also having a lot of fun. Next slide, please. What is pathobiology? It's a good place to start. So I've listed here, and you can read it for yourself what we're calling the definition is. But really what this is understanding human disease at the whole person level. So we're talking about the component cells, the tissues, the molecules, and we're trying to understand the mechanism of disease. So pathobiology really focuses down at the fundamental levels of what in the human body is going wrong that leads to human disease. So I already mentioned this is in a very clinical program. It's in a clinical setting. And in my highly biased opinion, it's a really wonderful place for PhDs to do their PhD research. You probably can't see behind me, but I'm sitting in an office that's full of tissue slides from prostate cancer because I study prostate cancer. And it's fantastic how much, I've learned. And really what our goal is to train PhDs in the biomedical sciences so that they can go on to pursue careers that are directly relevant to both human medicine and human healthcare. Next slide, please. Oops. Go back. There we go. So I wanted to just give a brief overview of what the curriculum looks like in the pathobiology program. And this is quite similar for most of the graduate programs in the School of Medicine. Most of the courses that you take are going to be in year one in the graduate program. And there's two components to that. The first of which are you do 3 rotations, and I have them listed in blue: rotation 1, rotation 2, rotation 3. You can either start your rotations in the summer, or you can start them in the first semester. It doesn't matter either way. But you'll do rotations through research labs, and they're around 8 weeks long. And the point of those rotations is to try to identify a research mentor and a research group that really it feels like it's a great fit for you to do your thesis research. And we don't want you coming in and just joining a lab, not having any previous exposure to that mentor or to that lab environment. So we have you do 3 rotations to just get a feel for the different labs and decide which one is the best fit for your research interests and for you. And so in addition to those rotations, at least for the pathobiology program, you take these core courses that are listed here: genetics, molecular biology. You take a pathology specific course, pathology for graduate students. We have a journal club that we do as part of the program. It's a wonderful journal club. It's held, I believe, on, can't remember if it's Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but it's an hour-long journal club, and you do both recent papers, classic papers, bioarchives, preprint type papers. You're paired up with a faculty member, and it's a great way for the program to meet once a week and to discuss some fun science. In the second semester, there's more coursework, pathways and regulations, cell structure and dynamics. And then there's another 3 pathobiology program specific courses that are focused on cancer, immunology, and infectious diseases, and neuropathology. Next slide, please. So then, like I said, the first year is really going to be your course every year. You're doing rotations, you're deciding where you want to go for your thesis research. In year 2, you join your thesis lab, and you will take your graduate board oral exam. So I have that listed here at the beginning of year 2. So those exams, and I'm not going to go into too many details just for the time limit, but they're based on, for our program, they're based on the courses that you took in year 1. So that's why we have you take it at the beginning of year 2 while everything is fresh in mind. Everybody does great with their oral exam, but that is the entrance exam into doing your thesis research. And then the only other thing that I will mention is that another thing that we do that's very specific to the pathobiology program is that we have these translational research rotations. You do 2 of them, and what you do is you will pair up with usually a clinical lab, a clinical pathology lab that's here on campus, and you learn, you will shadow and get an experience to try to learn how things occur from the clinical side of what you're researching in the lab. And these can be really on any topics, microbiology, surgical pathology, clinical pathology. It's really up to the student what you want to do, but it's really to just give an exposure to the clinical side of the department and how that relates to the work that you're doing at the bench. Next slide, please. And then I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the faculty in the program. This is not inclusive by any means of all of the faculty in the pathobiology program, but 3 major areas that our faculty do research in are cancer, infectious disease, and neuropathology. That said, those aren't the only topics by any means for which we have available to do your thesis research. There's cardio, pathology, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted to highlight some of our outstanding faculty members, including Dr. Maynard, who I have to embarrass because she's on, on the call, who's a wonderful cancer researcher and also a prostate and pancreatic and health disparities researcher here at Hopkins. Next slide, please. And then finally, my last slide is just to give you an idea of student life and the program. We do very much encourage and support work-life balance, of course. It's a small program, very tight-knit. All the students, we do think of ourselves as a family. They help each other through the first year and then continue to do things together, fun things together throughout the remaining years. There's a lot of nature here in Maryland for those that enjoy being outdoors, but we also have sports teams and just general get-togethers. But it really is a great program and a great social program. And then the last thing is I just wanted to mention that this is a slide, it's outdated probably by a couple of years at this point, just to mention that where do our students go after they graduate? The majority of them do end up in academia, going on to postdocs, and then maybe onto faculty positions. But I just want to mention that ever increasing, there are other opportunities for PhD students after graduation, and we are very supportive and aware of that. And a lot of our graduates are going into biotech, government, teaching, even law and consulting, et cetera. So there are many, many options for what to do with your PhD after you graduate, when you go on to your career. And that's it. That's all I had for me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sfanos. Next, we will have a representative from Baylor College of Medicine, Dr. Roza Selimyan, who is the director of the, we have Dr. Andrew Groves, a representative for Development Disease Models and Therapeutics graduate program. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Do I control this or do I have to ask someone to move the slides? Okay. So thank you. I'm delighted to be here. So my name is Andy Groves. I'm the director of the Development Disease Models and Therapeutics grad program at Baylor College of Medicine down in Houston, Texas. Next slide, please. Okay, so our program can be summed up in this sort of rather sci-fi looking graphic here, but if you just click through a couple of times, basically what our program does, there we go, for any organ, tissue, or system, so pick your favorite organ, whether it's the heart or the brain or the liver, faculty and students in our program ask, how does it develop? How does it function normally? How can it be affected by degeneration or disease, either regular disease or hereditary disease? And then click forward just one more. And then how can we fix these disease problems? So if you click forward one more time. So our program is both large and diverse. So we have 170 training faculty in our graduate program. And every year we admit between 12 and 18 grad students into our program. So our students have many, many faculty to choose from. And as you can see from this list here, our faculty are spread through many, many departments at Baylor College of Medicine. And in fact, if you just advance one more time, our faculty are not just present in departments and centers at Baylor College of Medicine, and you can see some of those centers here. We also have some faculty who are in other institutions in the Texas Medical Center and Rice University. So we have a lot of faculty from all over Houston who can accept students into their lab. Next slide, please. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Baylor and the Texas Medical Center. So this is a picture of the Texas Medical Center in 1943. And if you click forward to the next slide, this is the Texas Medical Center now. Click forward one more time. So we are actually the largest medical complex in the world. So we have over 45 hospitals, clinics, and centers. The doctors in the Texas Medical Center are doing over 180,000 surgeries every year. We have the largest cancer hospital, MD Anderson Cancer Center, in the world. And Baylor and our pediatrics department are part of Texas Children's Hospital, which is the largest children's hospital in the world. So there is plenty of opportunities for research in these areas. If you click forward one more time. Also, I just want to have a plug for Houston, because I think I am the outlier here, not coming from the Northeast. So Houston is the 4th largest city in the United States. Click forward, please. However, even though we're the 4th largest city, actually our cost of living, at least at the end of last year, was about 8% below the average cost of living in the 200 largest cities in the US. So our graduate students and trainees find that their stipends can go a fair bit further in Houston than in other parts of the country. If you click forward. I also want to emphasize that we, at Baylor, our trainees and our faculty try and reflect Houston's diversity. And I'm highlighting here some of the student groups that speak to some of our diversity issues. I also want to mention that we have an NIH-funded IMSD program. This is an initiative for maximizing student development. And this is to support students from underrepresented backgrounds. It can provide stipends for their first year. It can provide travel support and tutoring and mentoring. And also it gives students from underrepresented backgrounds a second home within the graduate school to help them adjust to life at Baylor College of Medicine. If you click forward, please. So a little bit about the program. Just click forward, I think, once or twice more. So yeah, we have at Baylor, we have 5 8-week terms per year. And each one of our lab rotations takes 8 weeks. It's a 1-term rotation. And we ask our students to do a minimum of 3 rotations before they choose which lab they're going to join. However, if you click forward, you can also do a 4th or 5th rotation if you would like to. And after your first 2 rotations, you can actually rotate in any training faculty lab at Baylor College of Medicine, regardless of whether that faculty member is a member of our program or not. So again, even though we have 170 faculty, it gives you more flexibility to really identify and choose mentors who fit in with your research interests. Okay, next slide, please. Also, our curriculum is also designed to be flexible. So in the first year, the students in our program, they have to take about 1/3 of their coursework in core subjects, so molecular biology, cell biology, genetics, biostatistics, but then we leave the remaining 2/3 of our required didactic classes up to you to choose. Either classes offered by our program or, again, classes that are offered throughout the grad school. You can choose whichever ones you want, again, depending on your interests. We don't feel as a program we should tell you what to study, okay? And we let you design your curriculum to suit your interests. And just looking across some of the subjects here, you can see that at Baylor we offer a very large number of classes in a very large number of areas. Click forward, please. So in addition to the research and curriculum, our research at Baylor is supported by a fantastic array of core labs. So at Baylor, our core labs are all grouped together under one administrative roof. And so it makes it really easy for our trainees to access any of these cores. It's very easy for you to reserve time on them, to get trained on equipment, and everything is carried out through one online system, which means you have a huge range of equipment and techniques available to you if you come here. Next slide, please. So that's all I want to say. In a moment, I'm going to post some links to some of our web pages in the chat box. I realized that there was one thing I forgot to mention, which is for those of you who are interested in translational research, our graduate school also offers a track on clinical and translational research. You choose your own mentor in one of our programs, but if you join this translational track, you can also choose a clinical mentor for the next 2 years, and you will shadow them and maybe participate in some clinical research projects. And I will add a link to that site as well. So thank you for listening, and please let me know either by email or at the end of this discussion if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Groves. Next, we will hear from a representative from the School of Public Health here at Johns Hopkins, Dr. Roza Selimyan, who is the director of the Biochemistry Molecular Biology Department's academic programs.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to talk without slides, but I'm including the link to our program in the chat box. And I'm glad to be here and address any of your questions. My understanding is that we are running a little bit behind the, can you hear me? My Zoom says unmute later. Just to be clear, in the School of Public Health, there are 10 PhD programs, and I am going to talk in details about one of them where I'm working. It is within the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, but for anyone interested in getting a PhD within public health, I encourage you to go and check the website for other programs. We are rather a unique department within the School of Public Health because we qualify as one of the basic science programs, and our PhD program offers full tuition scholarship plus annual stipend plus medical insurance. Also, we are very proud to be associated with the VTSI that was mentioned before, which stands for Vivian Thomas Scholars Initiative, and it was launched last year. And the aim here and intentions are to address historic underrepresentation and rich diversity in STEM. If you are applying to our program through VTSI, you automatically qualify for a fee waiver. But also there are a number of other factors that could qualify you for a fee waiver, and we are going to update that information and it will be available on our website. So once our incoming student starts with us, and just to mention, we have 4 terms within an academic year, then we have the summer and winter institutes or terms, you can think about it. So our students take their courses within the first year, typically the didactic courses. And these courses are taken either in our department or in the School of Public Health. And there are a number of courses also offered in the School of Medicine. So these courses include the obvious molecular biology, genetics, and similar courses. And there are a number of other courses that you can choose from. And we also have some that we recommend. Also, if our students are on T32 NCI grant, then there are a number of courses that they will be required to take additionally. Within the first year, what our students do also is they have 4 rotations in terms 1, 2, 3, 4. As previous speakers mentioned, these are also 8 weeks long rotations. And students here have an opportunity to rotate not only with BMB, the abbreviation for our department, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, not just with BMB faculty, but with faculty from different departments within the School of Public Health and also in the School of Medicine and the School of Arts and Sciences. And this allows quite a bit of diversity in terms of topics that and areas that our students can consider before committing to any specific lab. In addition to this type of courses, students have multiple opportunities to be involved in initiatives and in projects that would allow them to hone their leadership, communication skills, and so on and so forth. By the way, one of the courses that our students are taking is grant writing course, where people are taken through all the steps that many PhD holders are going to require this skill. So there are a number of initiatives happening, as we know, university-wide, school-wide, but we also have department-specific opportunities. We have a monthly PhD club where students are meeting with faculty to address different aspects of being a PhD student and beyond. We have Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Again, this is in addition to this efforts done within the school and within that committee and beyond within the department. We have worked on a number of drives that we organized, and so our students are involved in initiatives like that, also tutoring pupils in elementary schools and so on and so forth. We do make a point to attend conferences like SACNAS and ABERCAMS because it is very important to us to really organically and genuinely achieve diversity within our programs. And one other aspect I would like to mention is a resource available to PhD students at the School of Medicine, but also to the students in our program, which is Options, where they do spend their first 2 years within the program on considering various career awareness and different career options for a PhD student after graduation. And then they have an opportunity for career exploration programming. And they do meet with the Options Program Director, Dr. CJ Neely. They have multiple opportunities to connect with different faculty, again, within BMB and beyond. And one last thing I would like to mention, something that I always say, and I smile, whenever I go to PhD thesis defenses from our students, I say that at BMB, we have the longest acknowledgement section from anything I have seen in my career before this. Obviously, it is because our students have family members and friends and so on and so forth to show their gratitude to. But what also melts my heart in a specific way is the genuine friendships and genuine connections they build within our department, and I mean students from different laboratories forming the friendships, in addition to obvious friendships that are built within each lab. With this, I'll conclude my portion, but again, the contact information for our program is listed on our website, and I'm absolutely happy to address any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Selimyan. Next, we will move forward with a couple of slides from Dr. Victoria Freedman, who is the Associate Dean of Graduate Biomedical Sciences at Albert Einstein College of Medicine.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. I'll try to be brief. I know we're coming up to the end of our hour together. I've just put an email address in the chat, and this will reach our graduate admissions team in case you have any questions that are not addressed. I also want to give a shout out to one of the faculty members in pathobiology at Hopkins, Deanna Williams, who received her PhD at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and is the reason that I'm here today to talk to you. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm going to give you a little general overview of what we think about the PhD and what it's all about. You can continue clicking through here. The PhD is different than any other educational experience that you've had because you are the person who is going to be discovering something new. So the PhD training focuses on helping you generate new knowledge about systems in health and in disease. And as you can see, we think of the PhD as laboratory centered in the biomedical sciences, but you could be doing work outside the lab, and it will be fun. It's hard work, yes, but the reason we all do this is because it is ultimately a lot of fun. The next slide, please. Next slide. So you've heard a lot now about different graduate programs. This graphic is really to give you a quick overview of what you should expect in graduate school. And all of our programs are basically similar in that year one is really concentrated on laying the foundation coursework to give you the knowledge that you need to address a problem in the lab. You will also be doing rotations. And by the end of year one, you will be selecting a mentor and advisors to get started on your work. In year two, you will have a qualifying exam or comprehensive exam. And this exam really says that you have the knowledge and the beginning skills to be admitted to candidacy for the doctoral degree. And then after that, you'll really be concentrating on your own thesis research, your own scientific problem. You'll have a faculty advisory committee, sometimes this is called a thesis committee. And you will be involved in many workshops of career and professional development because we view the PhD as the gateway to a career in science. So it's not the end, it's the beginning. And of course, there's a lot of emphasis on writing about it and presenting your research. Next slide, please. So at Einstein, we have what we call a block academic calendar, and it sounds similar to some of what you have heard already. So we have 3 course blocks a year, and then the summer session. So All of our students start the first week in August, usually around August 1st, and they start with a week-long orientation program, which you get to know the campus, more about the faculty, and you take all those required trainings, radiation safety, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have a first year boot camp, which we call Learning to be a Scientist. And this boot camp is led by our first year faculty advisor, Dr. Teresa Bowman, and she develops a new program every year in which you meet faculty, current students, and you hear from them about the expectations for being a graduate student. You may talk about any of your questions or qualms, and you get advice about moving forward. And then the courses begin. Each course block is 13 weeks. And in general, graduate students take 2 graduate courses plus 1 rotation in each course block. And by the end of block 3, which is usually around June 30th, you will be ready to declare a lab, that is, choose your thesis lab, and start some preliminary work. And you'll be ready for a little bit of a summer vacation too. Next slide, please. Of course, you have heard, and we all acknowledge that no one lab can do everything now. And we're very proud of our shared core scientific facilities. We have more than 20 different facilities with experts and the available to give you the technical assistance, the skills, and the advice for developing your experiments, depending on what you need to answer the scientific questions that you have. Next slide, please. Students always ask about funding, and sometimes they're a little shy or embarrassed about it, but it's important to always keep it in mind. We have to be realistic. So at Einstein, year 1 is supported by the institution. Usually in year 2, when you move into a laboratory, the mentors grant will pick up the funding. And then from years 3 and on, it's really a combination of individual fellowships, training grants, and mentors grants. Next slide, please. The Einstein student body currently consists of about 250 graduate students, slightly more women than men, which is certainly a change from when I went to graduate school. Currently now about 20% international students and about 23% students from groups underrepresented in the sciences. Next slide, please. So that's just a brief overview. Where are we? We're located in the Bronx in New York City. No disrespect, but New York City is the center. So you have to come and see what it's like to do graduate school in New York City. And we are an umbrella program. So unlike some of the descriptions that you've had before, we expect that all students have come in an undifferentiated state, and that they are going to use the first year to really explore the breadth of science and the range of scientific questions open for their study and their research. And we hope that you take advantage of all the opportunities before you and really enjoy the journey, because these will be wonderful years. They will be hard, but they will be wonderful. And I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Freedman.